It's been a week since I've harvested anything from the garden. It's been raining here a lot lately, and I've also been sick. So I just haven't had a chance to come out into the garden and see what needs to be harvested. So let's see what the garden has in store for us today. I imagine there's going to be quite a lot out here that needs to be picked. We'll see what all needs to be picked. I can already tell that some things are starting to look a little bit haggard, but for the most part, the garden still looks pretty good and pretty full of life. We had that hurricane, kind of just the tail end of it pass us by, and it brought a lot of rain with it. Thankfully, we didn't have any damage or anything. My heart goes out and I feel for everyone who did have damage. Thankfully, the garden's looking pretty good though. There's a lot of deadheading that needs to be done on these dahlias, I can already tell. They're kind of gone black a little bit and gotten soggy. Sometimes when you have an excessive amount of rain, that can happen to some of the flowers. I see some peppers that need to be picked, so let's go over here and pick those first. We've been working on the garage slab here next to the garden. Any chance we could get during little breaks in the rain, but because we've been working on this so much, I just really haven't had a chance to fully devote to seeing what's in the garden and picking anything. All right, let's grab some of these peppers.
The peppers are over here in the back corner of this bed. This pathway is blocked kind of by these zinnias, so I really should pull these out. They are looking a little rough.
I think I'm just gonna chop these back quite a bit. Let me grab my scissors.
Maybe I should have named my YouTube channel The Scatterbrained Gardener, because when I see something that needs done, I typically just pause what I'm doing, take care of it, and then move on to the next thing. Otherwise, it'll never get done. These zinnias just need a little bit of a haircut. I'm trimming off all the dead flowers, and I'll be saving these to collect seeds from, so I'll throw them over yonder and we'll come back for them later. I just wanted to kind of tidy things up. Alright, now on to harvesting food. Harvesting zinnia seeds is still very exciting for me though, because that means more flowers for next year. Right now I'm harvesting some bell peppers. These bell peppers look pretty good for the most part. Oh, I spoke too soon. That one wasn't so nice.
Definitely some casualties from all the rain. Let's see, it's dripping water. This one just, the top ripped all the way off. I'll cut it up and just save the bottom part.
The rest of the bell peppers on this plant could use a couple more days before they're ready for picking.
Let's go over here. I've got peppers lining pretty much this whole row of beds. Let's harvest these.
My path is obstructed by a giant zinnia bush, but this path is pretty mild compared to some of the other ones.
It's a pretty good one.
For the most part, all the peppers we grow are on the milder side. I do have a few spicier varieties, but nothing really overly spicy. I think the spiciest variety we have growing in our garden is the lemon drop pepper, which on the Scoville scale, the lemon drop pepper is 15,000 to 50,000 Scoville rating. That is similar to a cayenne pepper, according to Google, but I've never taken a bite of each of them and compared. It's too spicy for me to eat plain. I dry it and use it as a seasoning. That particular pepper is not quite ready to be harvested yet, I don't think. It's over on the other side of the garden. We'll check on it in a little while when we walk over that way. Right now, let's finish harvesting all of these bell peppers.
So far, a pretty good pepper harvest. I still have a whole nother bed of peppers to pick. There's a couple different varieties in here. I'm not even 100% sure what they all are. I know there's some serrano, jalapenos, bell peppers, corbaci peppers. There's a few different fun ones in there. Some of them are also just volunteer plants that came back from last year. And I have kind of let the volunteers go a little crazy this year. I'm looking down this aisleway here. If you see, this used to be a path right behind me, and the flowers have pretty much completely overtaken. And also the loofah gourd and some other vegetables have just kind of gone crazy all in the path. I was not diligent about pulling up any little volunteer plants in the pathway, and this was the result. It's definitely really pretty, but I can't exactly get to things very easily. I have a lot more peppers down this bed, so we'll kind of wade through all the flowers to get to the other peppers. Oh, there's peppers right here by my feet. I need to come through and tie up like these dahlias. I have some bamboo stakes here for them. I just need to get some more twine to tie them up so they're not flopping over. But you can see some of the heads just went mushy from all that rain we've had. It's rained probably for a week straight, which is great. The grass needs it, but it's a bit much. We haven't had any rain, it feels like, all summer, and then we have rain for several days on end. Okay, let me just kind of squeeze by here. Oh, I left my basket over there. All right, we're gonna do as many as we can grab at one time. There's quite a few hiding here in this bush. Okay, this is all I see from that one plant. It actually kind of looks like it's gonna rain again on me. I thought I was gonna have a couple hours here to harvest, but we may have to see how much we can get done in the next 20 or 30 minutes. It's getting cool and I feel a breeze too. You probably know what I'm talking about, that shift you feel in the air when rain's coming. I'm feeling that, so we might not have as much time as I thought. All right, we got a pretty good full basket full of peppers. You can see the storm clouds are kind of rolling in. It is looking like rain. I see a couple really nice big green bell peppers right behind the tripod here, so I'm gonna grab those too. Since it does look like rain, I don't know when I'm gonna get out here again. This big viney plant here is a loofah gourd. I see a lot of really big green loofah gourds. I kind of want to see if there's any brown ones in here ready to be picked for drying. Oh, the dahlia has snagged my hair. Okay. This plant is the first time I've ever grown this, and it's pretty vigorous. We had to add a couple extra T-posts to these cattle panels to support it. And it actually jumped over to the next cattle panel arch and pulled that one down. So I need to add some extra T-posts to that one over there too. Our cattle panels had previously just been screwed into the sides of the garden beds. Oh, some sleepy bumblebees there. Don't mean to disturb y'all. I just want to show everybody the giant loofah. Sorry, little bumblebees. All right, do you see how big that is? That's one of the loofahs. I don't want to pull it out too much because these little bumblebees are hanging out there. There's another big one right there. This thing's massive. I've been told they're edible, but I haven't actually tried to eat any of them this year. I may see if there's a small one on here somewhere, and we'll give that one a try. Most of them have gotten pretty large already though. Let's look around, let's see what we got. Oh no, that one's really big too. There's a bunch of them in there. Well, I think I hear rain falling over yonder that way. So let's go see if there's any big tomatoes that need picking before the rain starts. Grab my basket and we'll head over to the tomatoes. If I can make it through the jungle. Hold on. Made it through. Here, you can see the loofah gourd has spilled down into the pathway here. And then this arch used to be up here. It used to be the same height. And the loofah gourd spread over to that arch and then collapsed it. So the arches here on the cattle panels are strong enough for green beans and some cherry tomatoes, but not giant loofah gourd plants. Note to self for next year, if I grow them again, I need a stronger support system. Speaking of tomatoes, the tomatoes are looking pretty rough. They are kind of, you know, end of season tomatoes. It is fall now, actually. However, there's still tomatoes on the plants and we're still harvesting them, even though they are succumbing to the stress of the end of the season. This trellis here has a bunch of cherries on it. These are the sun golds that we've been enjoying and snacking on. They're the little small cherry tomatoes. See, that one's squished and too far gone from all the rain, from not being out here to pick them. There you go. There's some better ones. But I want to go over here and see what kind of big slicer tomatoes we can grab, because I'm more interested in saving those before the next rainstorm hits. I've only got a few minutes here today, regardless of the rain, because we have somewhere we need to be this evening. There's still a bunch of big, giant green slicers on here. Let's see what we can pick. These ones are Better Boy, I believe. They're just like your classic rounder tomato. There's a bunch of green ones. I personally prefer to wait till they're red or at least a little bit blush before I pick them. They will continue to ripen on the counter. Like this paler one will turn into a darker red if you leave it on the counter for a few days. However, I'm more interested in picking the really ripe ones. I think that's it for this side. So just these three. But this side has quite a few on here. Looking at the state of my tomato plants is kind of embarrassing, but I'm going to show you guys the true, honest realities of the garden. Your tomato plants will not look perfect year round. We have tomato plants look like this at the end of the season, every year pretty much. And that's just the nature of gardening. Plants aren't meant to last 365 days a year, at least not in Virginia when we have 4 seasons. They're gonna look rough at the end of the year. And that's okay. We can still harvest a lot of food even if they look rough. Some of these are definitely compost pile worthy, but some look pretty good. Like, oh, looks decent. Oh, that one's kind of rough too. I also wanted to come out here just to pick off the ones that are too bad so that these green ones get all the energy and they're not being drained of nutrients from the good ones. All right, let me set these down so I have more room in my hands. That one's better. It'll continue to redden up on the counter. Here's another little one. Here's another pretty good size one. This one's pretty high up there. This one's greener. So this is kind of a good example of one that has just a tiny bit of blush on it that will continue to ripen up. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick that. Ugh, see, this one's a little too squishy from all the rain. Yeah, and that's just how it goes sometimes. Sometimes you don't get as big of a harvest as you would like. There's a lot of green ones on here though, so we'll get a big harvest from all the green ones here pretty soon. I want to go over here and pick some, oh, wait a second. I see more tomatoes. Let me grab some more of these tomatoes and then we'll go pick the next thing. Put these ones in my basket. Should have brought 2 baskets out today. I only grabbed 1. I should know better. Okay, there's a couple more tomatoes here on this cattle panel. Ooh, let me get out of there. Okay, let me set this down. Right here on this one, there's some. We got a couple of nicer slicer ones here. Pulled about half the vine off on that one with me. There's a bunch of watermelon here at the end of the path. I do want to check and see if any of those are ready for harvest, because watermelon lose a lot of sweetness if they get a lot of excess water. This big one right here looks pretty good. That big one right there might be good. Let's see. I think this one's good. Ooh. Pretty good watermelon. There's more watermelons growing here in this path and some over there. A lot of them are actually volunteer watermelons. I did plant a couple here, but most of them self-sowed themselves from last year. I also have a volunteer watermelon over next to our porch, which is the 2nd year in a row that I've had a watermelon volunteer and plant itself there as well. It's always nice when things plant themselves. However, I need to be better about pulling things out of the paths that plant themselves, or at least transplanting them somewhere else. And I think there's one more right here ready for picking. Let's see, this one looks pretty good. That stem's pretty brown. No, I mean, it's got a decent sunspot on it. Sounds hollow. I'm gonna try to pick it. We'll have to go inside and cut it open and see if it's actually ready. I've struggled with finding the exact perfect time for harvesting watermelon. I've done the little brown tendril next to it being completely brown and dried and shriveled up, and it doesn't always work for me. And sometimes I try to like push on the end and see if it's a little soft. I don't know, and like look for a yellow sunspot. This one's a lot smaller than the other one. The other one was a lot bigger, but that tendril was completely brown, and I think it's calling for rain the next 4 days here too. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pick it, and we'll slice it up inside, see what it looks like. Worst case scenario, if it's not good for fresh eating, maybe I'll turn it into like watermelon popsicles or something. One area of the garden that is looking really good is our new berry patch area. Let's walk over there really quick. Sorry if I'm making y'all dizzy. I'm trying to walk amongst all the volunteer watermelon vines. This new spot, I've kept up with weeding a lot more, and it just looks really nice. This front Vego garden bed, I planted up with a few fall things, and so far so good on those. All right, let me set you down so I don't make you dizzy. The motion sickness, I know, can be too much. These are some squashes that I planted, and so far they're doing really good. They're pretty big. They, were this big 2 weeks ago. They really loved all the rain. So even though the tomatoes did not necessarily like all of that rain, these squash really did. They took off. The other thing in this new section that's been doing really good is all of these flowers I planted amongst the gooseberries. What's this bed, gooseberries or currants? I can't remember now. These are amaranth and celosia, and it's just covered in bumblebees right now. Most of the bumblebees seem to be kind of sleepy and not moving very fast. It's been really pretty for filler for bouquets this summer. There's just a bunch of bumblebees everywhere. But they're moving really slow and kind of sluggish today. Something has the bumblebees being kind of sleepy. Oh, I feel rain. Yeah, that cloud I think is about to dump on me. It's starting to sprinkle, but I don't particularly want to get drenched because I have somewhere I have to go in a few minutes. The new Vago beds, I've really been loving though. They've been really nice and I like how tall they are too. The height has been really good. There's one more thing I at least want to harvest before it really starts pouring here on the rain. Let's walk down this way. Excuse me. The sunflowers are all dead and dying back, but the birds have been liking them. I've seen lots of yellow finches on them lately. So I've been leaving the sunflowers there for the yellow finches so that they can pick at all the seeds. Doesn't really look very pretty, but the birds like them. I probably could come through and cut them back now because I don't really see very many seeds left. I think they've picked through most of the sunflower heads and gotten all the seeds out. All right, climbing over the volunteer zinnias. Ugh. Okay, we made it through. On this side of the garden, let's see, where is it? There it is. I want to pick some thyme. Thyme is an herb that I really love using in cooking, and I just finished my last jar of thyme spice that I dehydrated last year, so I need to harvest some more of that. I'm going to pick a big bunch of it, and I also want to grab some rosemary because I'm making some fresh focaccia bread inside right now, and I'm going to put some fresh rosemary on top. Oh, okay, it is starting to pour. I better hurry up here. And the rosemary's hiding underneath all this. Okay, you might not be able to tell on camera, but it's really downpouring now. So I'm gonna end it here. Bye y'all, thanks for watching. I'm gonna finish up here really quick and run inside before I get soaking wet. Bye y'all.